G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I'm working on this little shimpaku blues juniper, I believe it is. Belongs to one of the members of our club. It's a nice little young small thing. So there, you might have a lot of these in your, especially beginners have these in your collection, and you're wondering what do you do with these little guys. There has been some work on this tree, bit of wire. You can see that it's actually been bent a little bit here and there, but where to now? So what do you do with it? You can grow it on into a bigger tree, definitely. There's nice movement already, you just have to grow it further, let the tips grow, keep wiring it and so on to get it really interesting bends and so on. But you can also style it into something a little mini, really, right at this stage, and then just slowly develop it over time, which takes a lot longer. But I think the owner wanted me to actually just style into something that he could recognise. It's a bit like a bush at the moment. It's got, obviously it's leaning towards a couple of little possible semi-cascades, either side you look at it. They're both quite interesting and good. You've got this long branch here. There's nothing to say that we can't actually also lift it up, bend this upwards, twist it. It's still so flexible, you can do a number of things with it. So really, you need to have a look at the tree. Now I've had a good look at it. I actually like going down the cascade path, or a semi-cascade, not a full cascade, just a nice little semi, and it'll work out quite nice, I think. Just trying to pick the front, really, which front you want. Both of them are okay. This front has this branch right in the middle, right in your eye. So I'm tending to go, this is going to be this way, this tree. But you never know, I might change my mind if I don't like a branch and so on. You got this long whip you can use as your new apex. You got this branch you can use as an apex or a side branch. But most importantly, you've got this nice long cascading semi-cascade branch we can twist and bend and wire out everything else into a nice shape. Alright, so really I pretty much start with one piece of wire that wires this main branch with this cascade branch. That's what you need, how you need to start this. So I'll get pretty much the same thickness, almost the same thickness as this branch, probably about 4mm wire, 4.5, something like that, and just wire these two branches. Okay, so I'm going to go away and just put some wire on it, and then we'll come back and set the structure. So I've gone through and wired a majority of the main branches on this tree, as I mentioned. One thing I did notice with this tree is when you want to do major work to a tree, the tree needs to be strong, even if it's a young tree like that. So because I'm going to do a cascade, I need to pull it out of the tree, pull it out of the pot. This is what I saw. Really healthy, strong roots. Very important. To do bends and things like that, heavy work, you need to have really strong roots, strong tree. That tells me it's very healthy and good to go. So now we've got to pick the front. So I was having a look at both sides. It's really a bit tricky. I did remember there was a low branch that was hanging out here. I did remove that. Really, it's going to come down to how this apex sits. So I'm going to work on that first. The cascade branch can go either way. Preferably, actually, I've gone back to maybe this side as going to be the ultimate front. It's just there's this branch here in the front that is actually can be a hindrance or can work really well. We'll see how we can position it. But I'm thinking this side's more likely at the moment. Just want to see how the apex goes. So I'll line the tree up how I want to view the tree. So something like I'm looking at it. So I'm going to have to try and twist all this down into a nice little apex here. So, and now I'm going to see if I can bend this trunk. Always be quiet. Listen for breakages. So I won't go back, so I can shorten it. When you go back, you shorten the trunk. So now I'm going to probably come around. The natural movement of the trunk is this way, so I'm going to try and move it back around this way. Work slowly. What ends up happening, you'll find branches then are on the inside of curves. So this little guy here, I've got to move him, get rid of him. I've been roughly able to style a little apex in there. It looks very messy right now, but it's a nice little apex in there that's been twisted and contorted. So it's much shorter now. I will have to fine wire a lot of these branches to get a really nice look. I will compress this a bit more and work on it. But at least we've got to start. Now we can look at the Cascade branch. I do think this will be the front now because that really has done nicely. Now I want to try and get a bit more downward movement in this Cascade branch. And that's pretty easy to do. The only thing is when it goes back in a pot, I'm going to have to raise the pot up a little because this Cascade is going to go bash into the plastic of the pot, so I might have to just be creative in my repositioning of this tree in the pot. But yeah, let's just work on this Cascade branch now. There's a really nice movement in the Cascade branch, sideways and so on, but I need to get a bit more movement in through different areas. So be creative. I might have to just drop the camera slightly. There we go. Looks absolute mess right now, right? But at least we're getting some direction in this main trunk, getting it downwards, and now I've got to work on the sub branching. We'll have to just top you up a little bit. Can't really see much. Anyway, but that's the process in a way. So got the apex, got the main branch going downwards. Now work on all the side branching. This is probably the most important. There's one in the front I've got to fix. There's one in the nice one in the back, which is perfect. But I'll work on the other ones. Now it's just a matter of, you start positioning branches where you think they need to go. But when I position, I always have to give movement. All right, make sure you bend the branches a little bit. Create movement in the branch, and then you'll find you have to wire some other ones up. You just wire them as you go. But pretty good. Now I'll work on a bit more refinement work, and we'll just do a time lapse on it. So after fully wiring the tree, you would have seen on time lapse a bit of me working away at the tree. I've come up with this initial style for this little shimpaku juniper. Obviously needs time now to really start to develop into its shape. The apex needs a lot more growth, but all in all, it's a nice little semi-cascade now. Oh, sorry, full cascade. I guess it does go a bit lower than a semi down into here, pretty much at the point of the pot. It did fit back in the pot, so that was pretty good, pretty handy to have. I think about there is the front, but as you can see, it's pretty bare in the top. You only got a couple of little branches here that form the apex, so we need some time to develop those. But what I want to kind of show you guys is, rather than wiring through it, it's better to show you the cascade branch, maybe give you a bit more detail in how this cascade branch is formed. It's just formed with using a number of branches. I got really lucky because I got a nice sized branch here. That's probably one of the first branches. And then another one at the back, towards the back. Now putting them kind of flowing in the direction, flowing with the trunk, but then coming out, flowing with the cascade, and then coming outwards, flowing with the cascades and going backwards a little bit. That's a really good position to start the cascade off. Then I'm pretty bare because these two branches are forming pads there. So there's no point having a branch in here. There's no point because these will start to develop and they'll make nice pads, right? Nothing here. Also inside of the curve doesn't need it. Then you get to kind of the outside of the curve and you've got a couple little branches here. I've had to use two here because there wasn't one good strong one. So eventually maybe you just come back to one branch. Then I've got a branch that's will probably be too bright to see. Hang on, let me kind of maybe lift it up. Then I've got a branch just on the inside. Hang on. there's a branch here, right? I had to be creative with that because it's kind of on the bottom, but I had to bring it around. If I put it where it was, it would have hit the pot, so it wasn't going to work. Oh man, it's so bright. We'll try and keep going through it, and I'll try and show you how we're going. So, and then it's a matter of alternating where the branches go along the trunk. So on the outside of a curve, most likely on the outside of a curve. Then you have ones that are actually in the front, like making a little pad in the front, not just side to side, but in the front here too, and in the front too. There's two small ones here. There's two small ones here that I put kind of towards the front, sitting on top of the Cascade branch. And then in here there wasn't much growth in terms of where I can use multiple branches to make the top growth, but I just went side to side to side to side and making a nice arrow point kind of at the end. There you go. So all wide pretty much. I did one big wire for the whole main trunk, and then wide sub branches. But very good, very important to see layering in certain areas. Layer, like have pads up the top too, because they'll form pads up here as well, not just on the sides. Okay, that's kind of what I really want to show you with the Cascade. It's easy to show on a small young tree, so that's really handy. The apex all was done just through twisting all the way down. That just needs time. Nice little branch here to the side gives me that stability on that side as well. Nice, looks stable now, the apex. But all in all, it's a very young tree, but that's what can be done with young trees. Now you've got the structure. Now all you need to do is build the pads out, fill them out. And that's just time. A year or two, in 2 years' time, this tree will look totally different. It'll be quite nicely padded out, nice and full. This would have filled out. A lot of the branches would have filled out. Probably have to reduce a few here and there, but all in all, a nice little Cascade, I guess. Really nice little pot if you can get one. Nice little Cascade pot for it. I like Cascade pots to be shorter rather than really long Cascade pots. So all in all, I liked it and hope that you guys saw some little tips and techniques in putting this together. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you around.